Didn't
Okay, so then I have the sample of the
Gary brought the
normal.
green
Gary.
corn.
I haven't tasted it yet. About to pour it right now, but I did taste the green corn because Gary brought it, and I did taste a single barrel of the standard, and I thought both were great.
Well, thanks. I can't take credit for it just yet. My whiskeys are just getting to bottle now. I've been the head distiller here at Outlaw for 2.5 years, literally 2.5 years and 3 days. I was just talking about with my boss. It's a funny inside joke. But our average age of our whiskeys is 3 years for our bourbons. Our honey bourbons, we've been messing around with going a little younger, like 2.5 years. So that some of those are some of my distillate, and thank God they're all right. I've harvested a couple just or sampled a couple just to see, because that is a fear. Like so a little bit of my background, just a quick dive into it. I used to work for a very large brandy distillery that our main product was Christian Brothers brandy, and then I worked for High West for a little bit. And even on High West, there was about 5 or 6 distillers on average, and so if a batch wasn't great, you're like, well, was it my fault? Was it someone else's fault? It's like when you blend it, there's a winery, I won't name drop, but I used to work for a very big boxed wine winery. And our joke was you can hide a turd in 1,000,000 gallons of ice cream. And whereas here at Outlaw, there's no hiding, especially now that we have the second location down in Tempe, Arizona. I run probably 99% of the distillations here in Utah now. So if they're good, I'm just that good. And if they're bad, it's the vintage or something. My wine background comes out and find an excuse anywhere else. That is the nice part about being a small distillery is you can just, it's terroir or, that year, blah, blah, blah. It's like corn harvest is actually pretty uniform amongst the years.
Let's just roll that as a cold open right into the start.
A podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters.
Since I brought the guest in, I'll start this time. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Dan.
Oh, geez. Now who goes second?
It doesn't matter. Jake.
You always go second. No, I always go second.
I'm
Gold Eagle
I
Jake.
rolled it in.
And I rolled it back.
We are joined... And we are joined tonight by a Utah person of mine named Conor, who is the head distiller at Outlaw Distillery. Midvale, Utah, right?
Yep. We're right on the border between Midvale and Sandy. We rep Midvale, and our business license and everything is through Midvale, but it says Sandy because the post office, it's a mess. So, Midvale.
So about a month or so ago, I spent a Saturday to go to Outlaw Distilling by us. Met Conor. Conor, the head distiller, also was the tour guide for the day, which was great. Got to try some good whiskey and talked afterwards and got him on the show. Even though I worked with a distiller, we never got that distiller on our show. So, Conor, you'll be the first distiller we have.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. We've had a lot of founders and owners. We've never had a distiller. So you get to break that.
Oh, man, I can't wait to disappoint.
But no, we thought it would be fun to have you on, learn a little bit about your distillery, but also what it's like becoming a head distiller, where you start, where you go to, and things from there. So thank you for joining us. I guess kind of give us a little rundown. How did you end up getting to Outlaw? You said you've been there for 2.5 years now. How did you get into distilling in the first place?
That's a great question. Underage drinking. No, I'm kidding.
We all started there.
Yeah, it depends on what church you went to, right? And so when it comes to how I got my start with alcohol, originally I wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force or something, flying an F-16 or something. And that didn't work out. That wasn't going to work out in high school. And so I was like, oh, well, I want to be a game warden because you get to be a redneck and drive around with a truck and guns and all that fun stuff. Um, and actually, I do apologize. I'm not trying to mess this up. I'm hearing like my own self in an echo.
Um,
I think I'm hearing it from Gold Eagle, Jake.
I'm not hearing any echo, but it could be. Are you using headphones or no?
He's got his earbuds.
I am.
I think we're hearing your earbuds through your microphone.
Yeah, because I don't hear an echo.
I'm not trying to throw a wrench in it.
No, I know. We'll
bump your volume down just a little bit on your earbuds.
Yeah, move
can
your
you turn
volume
master
down a
volume
little
down
bit.
just a touch.
Okay.
Is that any better, or is it still pretty bad?
It's fine now. Okay, yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right, no worries.
Okay. No, you're good.
All right, all technical glitches worked out. We're good.
All right, my bad. When I was getting ready to leave high school, I was watching a wine program with my dad. It was James May and Oz Clark traveling around Europe, tasting all these fun wines. And my dad was like, you could do this professionally, which definitely wasn't him trying to get free wine for life out of me or anything like that. And my local university, Fresno State University in Fresno, California, go Dogs, they had a winemaking program, enology and viticulture. So viticulture is the science of growing the grapes, and enology is the science of winemaking. And as you can see, I'm very pale. I'm not going to do well outside, so I chose enology to be inside, not having to wear sunscreen every day. Wasn't the only reason I chose it, but of many. And took a little bit to get my winemaking degree. And during that time, I was working at a couple of wineries because the Central Valley of California is flush with wineries, both excellent and less so, but some amazing wineries that get overlooked because it doesn't say Napa Valley or Sonoma, for example. And at the time, I was working for a really great one called Toca Madero Winery in Madera, California. And the winemaker at the time, God love him, he was saying, hey, man, you're not really good at this whole wine thing. I think you have more of an interest in spirits. I think you should look into that. And fortunately, I mean, hey, it worked. He was right.
Hey, as long as they're honest with you, it's.
Oh, he's
it's
still
good.
a friend to this day. He wanted to fire me multiple times. I drove him crazy, but now we're buddies. So, and this has happened with multiple employers in my life where when they're responsible for me, they're not having a great time with me. And then once I'm no longer their problem, they're like, yeah, you're all right. But, so, I mean, I'm sure my parents feel the same way. But so anyway, I got interested because in California, there's not a whole lot of whiskey distilleries. There are more now, but at the time there weren't. This was like 2017, 2018. And there was a very large brandy distillery by the name of O'Neill Vintners and Distillers. Is the ancestral home of Christian Brothers Brandy. And they were like, basically it was a job fair. And I went to them and I was like, I want to intern, but I do not want to intern for the wine side. All due respect, I still have friends there. They make good wines. But I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to make the brandy. And I went to meet the distillers and they were like, who is this haggard looking dude trying to come in here and join the team? At the time I didn't have the beard, but they were like, this ogre wants to make brandy with us. And it stuck though. I took that internship, did some cool R&D trials for them, and then eventually moved that into a full-time position out of college, which is kind of the dream, kind of the goal. Worked out well, but I always wanted to leave my hometown. And one of the spirits that really made me think about whiskey and think about distilled spirits was High West Double Rye. The first time I tried it was like, I want to say 2016, 2017.
Probably same just for after me too.
Oh yeah, no. Back then they were on top of the world. Rendezvous Rye had just been best whiskey in the world or whatever, and they were still really great. I think they'd just been acquired by Constellation Brands in like 2015 or something like that. They still had kind of their core beans, stuff like Yippee-Ki-Yay and Valley Tan and whatnot. But it was Double Rye in particular that I fell in love with. And so it took me a couple tries to get a job there. And when I finally got the job to be a distiller at High West, not a blender, all due respect to the blenders, but I'm a distiller, and blending is an art, distilling is a craft, and distilling is more my speed. Um, got the job, took the offer, and then I realized I'd never been to Utah, and so I was like, well, hey, God protects fools and drunks, and I've been both. So drove out here with a U-Haul and moved in with a friend from high school, and I spent a good number of years with High West, running the stills and making a lot of whiskey, learning a lot about rye, a lot about troubleshooting, and also how difficult it can be. I mean, our distillery up there was like 6,000 or 7,000 feet in elevation. I mean, the winter times were brutal. It was like, hey, watch for moose when you go outside, stuff like that. Not normal conditions for making whiskey. Not to mention, one thing that some people don't ever seem to rationalize is your elevation changes the boiling points of liquids because there's less atmospheric pressure. So all these temperature set points that I'd kind of, ingrained into the back of my head at 400 feet above sea level in Parlier, California, were now completely irrelevant at 7,000 feet above sea level in One Ship, Utah. So it was a bit of an adjustment. And also, I came from a part of the country where during wintertime, for an activity, you might drive to the snow because it doesn't snow in my hometown. And then I'm driving around Utah and scared shitless in the snow. It wasn't fun. And it was hilarious because one of my coworkers, I was talking to them and I was like, so like, how do you feel about driving in the snow? It's a little intimidating. And they were like, well, I'm from Michigan, so it doesn't really bother me. I'm fairly used to snow. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'm a pussy. Got it. And they're like, but these mountains are terrifying. And I was like, well, I grew up driving it. My dad taught me how to drive just outside Kings Canyon National Park. So mountains don't bother me at all. Snow, absolutely terrifying. But anyway, I really enjoyed my time at High West. There were some great people I got to work with. I could spend way too long talking about all the people that make High West special that do not get the recognition that I feel that they deserve. But the problem was that I wanted to learn to basically open my own distillery in a number of years with a friend of mine. And the problem with High West is it's a bit like wanting to learn how to become a sailor by joining the Navy. You're going to learn one job and you're going to learn it very well, kind of thing. Not to be disrespectful to the Navy or High West, it makes it work. But I was like, okay, I need to go to a smaller operation that I like, that I vibe with, and learn everything I got to do to open my own setup. So I, spoke with Tyler Halstead, the owner of Outlaw Distillery, the president and CEO, and we got to talking, and he hired me for whatever reason, and we've been making it work ever since. And it's funny, Dan. You and I met with me giving a tour here. That's a fun part about running a small distillery is you got to give the tours. And earlier I was scrubbing the toilet because it was looking a little grimy. Like you got to do everything as well as, hey, are all of our fire extinguishers up to code? And all these things really quickly. I was like, I'm going to run a distillery for someone. I don't want to own my own one.
Yeah.
For as long as the owner of Outlaw will have me, I'm going to stay rocking with it here. It's a fun gig, and I love it. Utah's a challenging state to run a small distillery. I can say that for sure, but I love it here. Absolutely.
Yeah, we've talked about some of the laws as a consumer in Utah before since I've been out here, and how different it is. Brutal. I can't imagine what TTB and every regulations statewide are out here, but
it's brutal.
Go ahead.
The TTB, funny enough, is not the hard one. It is more often than not, it's the local DABS, Department of Alcoholic Beverage Services here in Utah. They are fun to work with, I'll say.
I knew I was going to enjoy the tour, because when we started talking beforehand, you asked me if I did tours at Whiskey Acres, and I said I did a few of them. And you're like, what do you think when other people give tours? I'm like, it's hard. It's hard because they don't have the same buy-in and the same knowledge and the same understanding of everything that you do when you run everything. But
it's. Oh, go ahead.
What do you think? So now that you've had some time to look back on it, I have it in my head. Why do you think the guys at the winery thought that spirits was more your style versus the winery?
Um, I go back to two things. One was a conversation I remember one day, because here's the fun thing. I was talking about this with a very good friend of mine, one of my best friends in the industry, Caitlin Bartlemay. She's the master distiller for Hood River Spirits and Clear Creek Distillery out of Hood River, Oregon. McCarthy's single malt is what they're, one of the whiskeys they're famous for. She and I talked about it where there's a lot of time to kind of scroll Instagram in this line of work. Not, I hope my boss doesn't see that, but like, there's just time where you're like, I'm waiting for this cleaning process to finish. I'm waiting for the tails to finish out. I'm waiting for this barrel to stop moving so I can get an accurate weight reading on it. Stuff like that. And it's not that much different in the wine industry, especially in the off season, not during harvest, not during crush. And so we're sitting in the office, and I don't know how we got to talking about whiskeys and spirits, but my boss at the time, though, winemaker, he was telling me about a whiskey he liked, and I was like, well, what makes it a bourbon? And all due respect to him, he did say some stuff that's not accurate that I know now, but God love him. It's not his specialty. It's not what he gets paid to do. And then, I was like, well, then what makes a rye a rye? What makes a Scotch? What makes an Irish? I just went down this rabbit hole real quick. And later he was like, I think you've got an inkling for that. But then also he was rather critical of my winemaking capabilities and knowledge. And that's fair because, here's the thing, man. I enjoyed winemaking. It was really fun. I still love drinking wine. It's probably the alcohol that I consume the most at home in my own house. But when I was trying to eventually work my way to being a winemaker, it was kind of like a relationship where we're good 75% of the time, but we probably shouldn't force this. Love's a lot like a fart. If you have to force it, it's probably shit. And so, it was just one of those things where it's like, I could be good at this, but maybe we don't do this. And with spirits, it's been way easier and just super second nature. And so, not to say I'm great at it, but it's less of a struggle to get into it than it was with wine. So I think it was those two things that winemaker was like, hey, stop doing this.
I was completely wrong. I after working in a distillery, I realized I'd never work in a brewery.
Oh God, you couldn't pay me.
So if you're listening and don't know the difference between, what we do to get to alcohol is the exact same thing as beer. The big difference between a brewery and a distillery is a brewery, everything has to be completely sanitized, and a distillery has to be sanitary.
That's a good way to put it. I like to tell people that when it comes to the hygiene standards, and this is a gross oversimplification, but as you know from my tours, if I can get a laugh every minute or so, I'm doing good. Is that when it comes to the hygiene standards, breweries are up here, wineries right here. Then there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's distilleries. To steal the line from Moneyball, because it's it's hilarious. When I went from Toca Madera Winery to Christian Brothers, we were pulling a sample from a barrel of cider we were doing an R&D distillation on, and before we put the wine thief into it, I hosed it down with 140 proof neutral spirits. And my mentor, my boss at the time, he was like, hey, man, we're going to distill this today. Doesn't matter. And I was like, oh, okay. And there's an excellent brewer who I worked with at High West who I'll just say Brando. I won't give too much info because he's a little more private. He was very sanitary as a distiller because he was a brewer by trade. He was a brewer for many, many years. And so you were not going to get that out of him. And so just to piss him off, I would take hoses and just drop them on the ground. And then, because it's it doesn't matter when you're pumping, this beer into the still that you're about to boil. It doesn't matter at all. No. And I always tell people, I'm like, yeah, you got to have good hygiene to make good alcohol. That's why I shower once a week. And usually, like, people pick up that I'm being sarcastic about it. So we're not gross as distillers, but compared to brewers, I could never work at a brewery, man.
No,
I just couldn't do
no,
it.
yeah. One of my I'll let these guys ask questions a little bit. I thought I'd get some stuff rolling first. I gotta pour myself some more here. I think one of my favorite things. So, like, I was with a farm distillery. People in our area, a lot of them have been to Whiskey Acres. That you see us on a farm. Our one aging warehouse is an old grain bin that we just put a concrete floor in, and that's an aging warehouse. We're very farm genuity in the way we create things there, which you guys have kind of a similar thing. Tell us a little bit about your still, because I think your still was one of the coolest things I got to see at the tour.
Yeah, so our still affectionately named Sandy because 10 years ago, all distilleries, in my opinion, you should name your stills because we're superstitious weirdos. Our still is named Sandy because we're in the city of Midvale because 10 years ago, previous owner tried to open a distillery in Sandy, Outlaw in Sandy, and they basically told us to kick rocks because they're very they go to a different church than I do. I'll put it that way. And I curse and I have tattoos, so it narrows it down. Which
you're allowed
church.
to have tattoos. I found that out. It's discouraged, but you're allowed to have them.
Well, it's funny because tattoos are considered body modifications, but let's just say certain female body modifications are allowed. I don't understand that one personally, but I don't judge either. I mean, shit, I was raised Catholic, so whatever.
I'm fine with it. So
I'm a big fan myself. But anyway, anyway, our still's name was Sandy. She is hand built by the previous owner of Outlaw. She's 200 gallon capacity, stainless steel still. Try saying that on your fourth tour of the day. With copper coils, copper plates, copper catalyzer above our partial condenser. So she's built great for a smaller distillery than we are today. We've just grown too much. And so actually the next bit of equipment I'm getting is a new still that will be triple the size of Sandy. And I will say that, so Sandy, we describe her as hand-built by the previous owner of Outlaw, the founder. I don't like to call him the founder all the time because it makes us sound like Scientologists, but he did start Outlaw Distillery 10 years ago. Parts of it were manufactured by a still manufacturer. Unfortunately, we were one of their first customers with a column of our size, 8-inch diameter, which our new one's going to be 14-inch, and it is 100% hand built by our previous owner. He's still around. We wouldn't operate if he wasn't still around. I'll put it that way. He fixes a lot of things that I break. But they weren't super experienced with the stills that they built for us. And so we've had to modify it so much that we're just like, we're just going to say that we made it. It's kind of like the USS Constitution or whatever that super old naval ship is. It's like, we've replaced every part on it at this point. Is it still the original ship, kind of thing? God, our still, even today, I found a new water leak on the outside, and I'm just like, if I could burn stainless steel, I love my still, but God damn it.
See, that was the thing is, like, I told you we have that 500, where I can't say we. Whiskey Acres had that 500-gallon Vendome hybrid. There was never an issue with the still. It was everything that didn't have to deal with the still or the mash tun that wasn't made by Vendome that was always breaking because it was farm genuity together. But,
well, I will say you can say we in front of me. I'm not going to accuse you of stolen valor. You served your time. Thank you for your service. That being said, it is funny because, like, when I worked for High West, our big pot still there, our hybrid still was a Forsyth or Forsyth. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but the Scottish still makers, similar kind of to what Woodford has, just from what I've seen of Woodford's setup. That was the most reliable thing in there when I was there. Everything else, not great. That being said, I did find an old production log from a previous distiller. She's now gone on to like Woodinville or something up in Washington. But there was a box that said, how many times has the still crashed during this shift? and usually there was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tally marks, whatever. And she just put 1,000,000, just wrote 1,000,000. And then eventually we found out, well, I found out what went wrong and what was fixed by it, what fixed it. And fun fact, and I promise I'll stop going off on so many tangents. But what was wrong with that still, that $4 million? Oh man, my tours, I swear. If I didn't have time limits, and let's just say if my tours were interesting, as in there were no Packers fans on them, I could go for days. But this very expensive still, very nice still, the engineers of that still manufacturer company and the engineers associated with fixing this still couldn't figure out the problem. But a dude with a high school degree from northern Utah, Cache Valley, way up on the Idaho border, no college degree, was able to figure out and fix it. And if that's not farm ingenuity, I don't know what is. I mean, he was a farm kid, and he was just like, huh, why don't you try this? And sure enough, that's what fixed it. I was like, God, I love that so much.
Yeah, you just got to reverse engineer everything real quick and then put it back together, and you're good. So.
I mean, that just sounds like blowing something up. Reverse engineering it. But,
sometimes it blows up, but you don't know unless you try.
You don't want a still to blow up, thankfully. Which actually, let me ask you, Dan, have you ever set a still on fire or had any near misses?
I don't think I definitely never set everything on fire. I've set myself on fire, but that had nothing to do with distilling. Jake was there for that.
Okay, I was just 4th of July.
No, it was there's an axe hanging on my wall over there, and it was from that.
Yeah.
They
told him explicitly only wear a cotton shirt, and he did not explicitly follow that.
Apparently, it was 30% polyester, and I got a spark, and it went up in flames.
That'll do it.
I don't think we ever really had. I never really had any near misses when I was.
Well, I'm not even saying in Whiskey Acres. If you were to allegedly, hypothetically, do any distillation at home,
it's a known fact. I've made lawnmower ethanol fuel for my lawnmower because that's my TTB permit allows me to do. That even has a pressure relief valve on it, so I never had any issues with that. I did one time have it bubble up all the way up through the column, and then it started coming out. Came out UV blue colored for quite a while because of the sulfates. So it took a while to clean that.
It happens. Still at Park City, because High West has the two still houses, one ship in Park City. Park City is kind of a museum to what High West used to be. Started out as, and one ship is where the work gets done nowadays. But the Park City one is, it's a Holstein pot with 2 columns on it. And I filled one of those columns with beer that, had burped up and over. And I was just like, because I just came in to check on it. And I just brown, and like murky beer brown. I was just like, those things happen.
Timer wasn't set right. It's always the timer's fault.
There was no timer. It was just my dumb ass got distracted. It happens. It happens.
Tell us. So, I mean, you guys do spirits. We're a whiskey podcast. We don't really care about clear spirits. Tell us a little bit about the whiskey. Like these guys got samples with them now as well. I know you guys do a bloody butcher corn or red corn as well. Green corn, I'm guessing is Oaxacan green.
Yeah, I got to try the green corn.
So
is that a green corn that you can't tell us what it is?
So I can't tell you what it is because I'm not 100% certain. Okay. Because all the fun corns are done at the Arizona location in Tempe, Arizona. So I want to say it's green Oaxacan corn, but I'm not positive, so don't hold me to that. But they've messed with blue, I think some white. They've definitely messed with Bloody Butcher, which is all fun. Like a good friend of mine, Brent, he's a distiller at Jephthah Creed, and they do some fun heirloom corns as well.
Talked to him a bunch of times.
Oh, really? Brent White?
A lot of the local shows, like the Midwestern shows and stuff they're at.
Oh, nice, dude. Hell yeah. I've actually, we're just buddies through the internet. We've never met, but whenever I do meet him face to face, he's getting the biggest bear hug ever. And so I love what they do out there. And so I haven't gotten to mess with too much heirloom corn. We did a batch of blue corn whiskey here, and I don't have high hopes because I acidulated it a little too much, a little too heavy hand with the citric acid, dropped the pH too low, ferment sucked. It happens. Still distilled it. It's weird. It's sitting in a barrel, and in 2 years' time, we'll see if that's decent or not. But talking about the whiskeys you have in front of you, I believe the essential oils we have are the regular bourbon whiskey at 86 proof. This is kind of the standard bearer of Outlaw. So with this whiskey, our mash bill is 70% corn, 30% wheat. We do a yellow number 1 dent corn and soft white wheat, all grown about 3 hours south of where I am. In the middle of Utah, a little town called Delta, from a family farm down there. We love what they do. They're good people to work with, and it's fun because when we meet them, when they bring the grain, which, fun fact, if my order's too small, they send it in a Chevy Astro van. That's fun to unload. You think, how do you fit a pallet in a Chevy Astro van? You don't. You stuff it in there like a goddamn coal miner, and I have to push it in there and huck it out because they don't send the young bucks that are built like brick shitters. They send the grandma, the matriarch, who I'm not going to make her do that. I'm going to get in there with my asthma and grain dust. It's awesome. Anyway, but they come in, hey, how's the harvest going? How's the water looking? Etc. So that's really fun. And I say 70-30. Sometimes we play with it just a little bit, maybe 75-25 some batches, 72.5% corn. There's a little bit of variance there, but 95% of the time it's 70-30. Then we age in char number 3 30-gallon barrels that are grown in the Ozarks and coopered in Minnesota. They're good barrels, and what's funny is when I came to Outlaw, because of course of my highfalutin degree and coming from the High West graduate program, I was like, we're going to 53-gallon barrels. I know what's best, blah, blah, blah. Well, as the industry's shifting, a lot of people are getting shifted into smaller and smaller barrels just because of barrel shortages and whatnot. So I'm really happy with the 30-gallon barrels. The only thing for me it limits is the length we can age. Like, I don't think we're going to be doing a 10, 15, 20-year-old whiskey in these barrels. The surface area ratio is just not there compared to a standard 53-gallon barrel. But so we age for about 3 years for this product, and then all we do to it is bring it down to 86 proof with water. We see an angel share loss between 13 to 20%. Kind of just depends on the barrel. And usually we go in, I'll say, between 120 and 125 proof. And we usually come out.
You that answer when I asked you at the tours.
Yeah, because you're a goddamn Packers fan, and I don't trust you. And also because I'm lactose intolerant, so why would I ever trust a cheesehead, But I'll trust a bear. I've seen a couple of them in the woods. They've never bothered me, but a Packers fan? No, I'm kidding.
It's because you look like a bear.
That's true. I've been called a bear many times, and I think it went both ways with what they meant by that. And still made $1 dancing on stage in a gay bar, but I kept my clothes on, and I'm proud of that. I'm just digging this hole deeper and deeper.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, so we go into the barrel about 120 to 125 proof, and it comes out usually I think the lowest I've seen it come out of the barrel is 127 proof. Highest I've seen it come out was 144.40 proof. That one was our bottled in bond. And if you ask my boss to this day, his biggest regret was releasing the bottled in bond at 100 proof because he loved it at hazmat. I thought it was overkill personally. I like my esophagus intact, but agree to disagree on that one.
Conor, first of all, you don't have to worry about what you said.
I feel like
you've accidentally poured yourself a full Glencairn and drank it in the same episode. Then you got to start worrying.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
gotcha.
also,
I have blacked out on a TikTok live with a bourbon podcast before.
That's awesome.
I feel like when
Jake,
you
what were
find
you
a barrel
saying?
at hazmat, you gotta release it at hazmat. You can't proof it down.
You know, I agree with you, and I'll offer this excuse. In many ways, Outlaw is 10 years old because the previous owner of Outlaw started the paper. Well, not started the paperwork. He opened everything January 1st, 2015. So we're 10 years old and counting. Technically, we could have been before that. We could have been Utah's third distillery since Prohibition. But our taxes are paid on a calendar year. And so why pay 12 months of taxes for like 3 months of operation? Wait 3 months and open January 1st. So we're Utah's fourth distillery since Prohibition. It goes High West, then I think Ogden's own distillery. They make the Five Wives vodka. The amount of memes I get sent on Facebook from friends or Instagram that show Five Wives vodka, and they're like, "Oh, isn't this so funny? Wouldn't this be good in Utah?" I was like, "I live like 2 miles from the distillery, used to at least." I was like, "I'm very aware." And during June, they do Five Husbands. They're fun. And then Sugar House Distillery, who are friends of ours, they're the ones who took the number 3 spot. And then there's us at number 4. But so we're 10 years old, but the current owner of Outlaw, Tyler Halstead, acquired Outlaw in 2020, 2021, somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm blanking on it right now. And he's been aggressively growing the business and also kind of learning about the liquor industry as he goes along. And so the next time we have a barrel that's over 140 proof, I don't think that one's getting proof down. I think he learned what he wants to do next time. So I agree with you. It's just it's always interesting, and I think you guys will see this the more you talk to us distillers, because I get major imposter syndrome when I talk to other people in the industry, especially distillers. When I talk to other distillers, I'm like, I don't know a damn thing. And then people I look up to, people I admire, people I respect, will either not know something that I know that I think is pretty basic, or they will say something egregiously stupid. Not that I would ever do that, but they would say something so dumb that I'm just like, I don't understand how that came out of your mouth, kind of thing. So, like, and we all have our strengths and weaknesses, is the way I'll put it. So we messed up on the hazmat barrel, but we have succeeded in other ways that people who I will not name have messed up. So I will offer that. I reject your reality and substitute my own, to quote Adam Savage.
Yeah,
I totally agree. And we're all experts at what we do exactly, and what we do varies. You could have the same role with another company, and what you would do as a distiller varies from what Dan did as a distiller at Whiskey Acres, and what I do as a liquor store owner varies from what another liquor store owner knows and does. So I think there's a lot of variation with that. But to kind of lead into something, I have 2 questions for you. One, you mentioned how you wanted to bring the brand into 53-gallon barrels, and you quickly were like, yeah, that's not going to happen. We're stuck, not stuck necessarily, but we're set and happy with what we're doing. Do you think, because of the last couple of years on what your current owner has found, you guys might experiment with some 53-gallon barrels? Do you have any 53-gallon barrels, or is that just something you're not going to look at all?
So I think we're always open to the possibilities, of that I'm not a super big basically I'm not in the cult about this, but there's the Japanese mindset of Kaizen, of constant improvement. That was kind of drilled into me by the first master distiller I ever worked for. And unlike I don't like the term master distiller because there are a lot of master distillers I don't respect. He's one of them, though. He's earned the title. He was big on Kaizen, constant improvement, finding areas. Hey, can this be better? Can this be better? So we're definitely open to it. I mean, dude, look, here's the thing. If it were up to me, I would age all of my bourbons, all of my whiskeys, whatever, in 120-gallon puncheon barrels because I think they're awesome. I think they're hilarious. The fact that I can fit in one is is bonkers to me. And well, I experimented with aging brandy and puncheons when I was at Christian Brothers, and they were awesome. I really liked the surface area ratio of them. We do have one 53-gallon barrel in our barrel warehouse. It previously held maple syrup. So it was bourbon, then maple syrup, and now it's got my whiskey in it. Really excited to see how that turns out. I don't know how it's not going to be great. The maple syrup tastes so good. The whiskey tastes good. I'm like, dude, this is going to be bomb. I can't wait to release that. And then we do have a 60-gallon barrel that previously was a wine barrel from Toke Madera. I reached out to my buddy, the winemaker there. His name's Shane Vetter. I was like, hey, Shane, can I get a Tempranillo wine barrel from you? Because they make a great variety of Tempranillo wines there. And he was like, yeah, you got to give me 2 of your 30-gallon bourbon barrels, 2 of them. And I was like, well, yep, 2 30s equals 160. That's fine. I was driving out to California anyway. Yeah, maybe just a dumb distiller, but that maths for me. And so I brought the 2 barrels, and it's cool because experimenting with that. So I think we might mess with 53s in the future. But the tough part right now is that where the liquor industry is at, and Jake, I don't need to tell you this. Everyone's hurting right now. Like the fact that Buffalo Trace, Middleton, they're all cutting production. Brown-Forman just sold their cooperage to ISC. Like everyone's kind of struggling, and the fact that Outlaw is like, fuck it, we're doubling down. We're buying another distillery. We're tripling the size of the still. Like sometimes I'm like, oh man, this is kind of crazy. But it's like it's raining and Noah's Ark is being built, and not only are we building another boat, but we're also building like an above ground pool company. Like it's kind of like holy shit. So we'll probably mess with 53s down the line once things calm down a little bit, I think.
I feel like
you can't talk to him about some of this stuff because he's in a beautiful location in Chicagoland, and with being such an old store, they have such a huge following. They don't get affected by what's going on in the industry too much because of the following that they have and the customer base that they have. It's pretty nice. Well, I mean, what do you guys do? Like 50 barrel picks a year right now, and you still sell out most of them?
60
in a year,
65.
Yeah.
70 maybe. Yeah. I mean, we are a little bit of an outlier, but I feel like with a distillery, especially where you guys are at out in Utah, like you said, you were the 4th distillery to start. Like that, for being out here may not sound like a lot, but I know there's not a lot of alcohol and distilling going on out there, so that's got to be a big deal. Like how could you not have a couple 53 gallons going just to kind of experiment and see what they're going to taste like, and then determine from there where you want to move forward. So yeah, I mean, I don't mean that as like a diss or anything, but I just kind of mean that as like, do the experimentation. If you guys are growing during this lull, what other barrels can you finish in? What else can you do to grab people's attention? We were just kind of talking about this before this episode started. It's just like doing something new. What finish is next to catch on? Like people obviously love Outlaw Distilling. I've talked to a few other people who aren't even on this podcast right now. Shout out to Gary, who went out to the Outlaw Arizona location and had great things to say. Like there's a following that is starting to be created with Outlaw Distilling. So I would think you'd want to do more experimentation and more different finishes and different types of casks, just to kind of bring those customers, keep them engaged into the brand.
Well, just because we don't have 53s doesn't mean we're not experimenting.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But
so that's my smart ass response.
Yeah, no, I mean I agree. I know you guys have a lot of different stuff going, but like, come on, give me 1 or 2 53s just to compare to what you have coming out now. And I know it's going to take a little bit longer to age, but
I'll give you this in response. So another reason why we're not basically like the 53s. It's just kind of, it's low on the to-do list because of all the bullshit that I have to deal with right now, just in our daily lives. But also like we have over 300 barrels in storage right now at our Utah facility alone that most of them are 30-gallon char number 3. So like we have that flavor profile built. As far as experimental finishes that we're messing with, I'm trying to think of any finishes that we've done previously. One of the first ones Outlaw did, and it was actually the first product of Outlaw's I ever tried, was a hot sauce barrel finish. And that was bottled pepper spray is how I would describe it, because I'm not a spice guy. It was good. I could tell that the whiskey was good, and I could tell the hot sauce was good. But I was like, I am a first-generation Irish American. My parents are not fresh off the boat; they're fresh off the plane because they didn't come here in the 1800s. I'm not built for that level of spice. Absolutely not. But it was good. And then so other finishes we got going. One that I'm excited for is a local brewery in Ogden, Utah, Utah Brewing, UTOG,
Oh,
Utah,
they have
Ogden.
I had a really good beer from them the other week.
Which one? Because they've got tons.
It was in their black can. It was a darker amber, or it was their red. It was their red.
Was it a 16-ounce can or a 12-ounce can?
12-ounce black can, red Utah lettering.
Interesting, because that might have been the beer I'm about to mention, because they do have an Imperial Red Ale, but that's usually in a 16-ounce can. But they just celebrated their 6th anniversary this summer. And so the head brewer reached out to me, and he was like, hey, man, I'm looking for some barrels. I like your bourbon. I was wondering if we could do something where I get some barrels from you to age our anniversary beer in, to do a special release for our 6th anniversary. And I said, dude, at the time I lived in Ogden, I lived not too far from the brewery. I was like, hell yeah, I love this. And he's like, what are you going to charge me? And I was like, nothing. I just want the barrels back when you're done. And he was like, shit, absolutely, man. So he did an Imperial Red Ale. It's got a big Roman numeral VI, 6 on it. It came out really, really good. And anyway, he brings the barrels back. I let him keep a couple for decoration, but he brought some of them back, and I was like, well, I like the beer. I like the whiskey. So the whiskey that came out of those barrels were sitting in tanks. I put them back into the barrels, and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I have a strong inclination it will work. I feel like the episode of Full House with the tuna Pop-Tarts or whatever. It's like, might be horrible, but I think it's going to be good. I think it'll be great because the beer was so good. I think it'll complement nicely. And then, yeah, we've got a couple of other finishes. And then one barrel that I'm kind of excited about is a rum barrel that I'm calling the tortured barrel or the weather barrel. So I know you guys don't want to talk about clear spirits, but this one's already browned. I can promise you that. And basically, when it's really hot out here, because people think northern Utah doesn't get hot, but it gets into the hundreds, I wheel the barrel outside and let it bake in the sun for a couple of hours while I'm running the still, doing whatever. And then during the wintertime, when it's coming down a lot with snow and there's 6 inches of powder out there, I'll wheel the barrel outside, let it get covered in snow. It makes a fat mess when I bring it back in, but I don't care. And it's really interesting, these drastic swings of hot and cold, the effect it's having on the rum. So not a whiskey, but it will be interesting to try pretty soon.
That's pretty cool, though.
My personal thought on 53-gallon barrels for you, Conor, is once you get to a bigger still and you're having to fill 30-gallon barrels 3 times a week, you're gonna pull those centers of your Mohawk out and go back to you want to go to 53s.
Yeah, there's that, and then also my forklift is tiny and really struggles. Like I have no problem going to 53s. It's just we're not set up for it right now. Like the way we fill barrels, it's not ideal for 53s. And then on top of it, we used to have standard barrel racks that are good for everything from 30s to 60s. But they're not great for 30s. And so the previous owner of Outlaw, his name's Kirk Sedgwick, he built his own barrel racks that are perfect for our 30s. They're basically, the way they're designed, they can't tip off the forklift. They're incredibly safe. They save way more space than the standard ones. The problem is we've been selling all the goddamn standard ones we have and building more of these 30-gallon racks. So we're going to have to buy those racks back to go to go to 53s. So I'm not saying we won't, but it's going to be a real pain in my ass.
I also don't mean to be that guy because I'm sure you giving tours, you get that question on every tour, like why aren't you using 53s or do you plan to use 53s? But it was just a little shocking to me that you weren't at least experimenting with 53s. Being in such a hot climate, in such a dry climate, I would think that stuff would just kind of evaporate and age much faster as it is.
Our angel share really isn't too bad because I remember we saw a similar angel share from the barrels at High West. Christian Brothers, Christ, I don't remember off the top of my head. That was a while ago and many drinks ago. But so it's not too gnarly. I don't mind when people ask technical questions like that on tours. I got a little nervous when Dan called before his tour and was like, "Hey, I'm a distiller," and I was like, "Fuck," because I'm always nervous having distillers.
Of course, Dan called. Wait a minute. Of course, Dan called.
Yeah,
and said, "Hey, I'm a distiller."
Why did I call you beforehand? Why did I call you beforehand?
He called to make sure that it was going to be the distiller giving the tour as advertised, not a tour guide. Am I remembering that correct? I think
no,
I
that
am.
wasn't me. I wanted to
again, of course you called to confirm.
That's what it was. What it was.
I wanted to make sure I could bring him samples of
No. If Dan was a prick, I would have said I was busy for this podcast. I like this. That's why I'm doing this.
So you just haven't really met
I
Dan
get
yet.
annoyed with on tour.
Yeah.
Well, but his shirt, I mean, says a lot. No.
Yeah.
What frustrates me from tours is when you get the taters.
How old it is.
That and what's that?
Age
when they ask how old it is,
that's
or why
right.
is it only 3 years old.
Dude, that one's fun. There was a guy who said some really dumb stuff on TikTok, and I clapped back at him pretty hard. He deleted his account, so cyberbullying sometimes works. Look, he called my whiskey underage, and I said, "What do you mean by that, Chris Hansen?" He didn't like that joke. I don't know why. But anyway, no, the ones that annoy me are the taters, the folks that they just discovered that the TTB has a handbook, and in chapter 4 it describes everything we can legally make, what we can call it, and they go, "Well, did you know that Jack Daniels is a Tennessee whiskey, but it's actually a bourbon?" And I'm like, "Actually, go fuck yourself. I don't want to deal with this right now," because I'm like, I don't care. They call themselves a Tennessee whiskey, and dude, I don't give a rip. Like, dude, I don't give a shit. And so they try and be like, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I'm not trying to mansplain here, but if you're not familiar, you have this peak, and then it drops, and it's a gradual climb out. And it's over time. Time is the x-axis, and the y-axis is your confidence. And so you learn a little bit, and you go, "Oh my God, I know so much." And then you fall into the valley of despair, which, as a distiller, Dan, I'm sure you spent some time there just as I lived there for a number of years.
Lots.
And then you climb your way back out where you're like, "I don't know what I know." It feels like a George W. Bush quote. You don't know what you don't know. And so you get these taters coming in, and they annoy me. And I'm not trying to make anything weird here, but I am a straight, white, overweight dude with facial hair. I am what they expect of a distiller, right? And I talked to my female colleagues, and they're like, "You have no fucking idea how annoying these guys can be." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, of course I would be worse." I never even didn't consider that. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
No.
Yeah,
The customer's always right.
Yeah.
It's always one of those things where, well, particularly like in distilling, like every distillery is basically doing the same process. So like people go on the tour for the tasting, but like they know how you make whiskey basically, right? Like So
Yeah.
but then you get those like kind of like shitty people that think they're like smarter than everybody, and
they
like,
want to
I know
prove to the
answer all
rest
these
of
questions, and like
they want to prove to the rest of the
that they know
tour
everything,
people
but yet,
that they know
they
everything.
can still
and
never remember off. Yeah. They still
They
never
can't-
remember
yeah.
the off distill at less than 160 and a barrel less than 125. Like they'll never remember that.
Mhm.
No, they never remember the D or the E of the
Yeah.
ABCs of bourbon. And Jake, I'm sure like in your store, you get the same thing where people are saying, well, you don't have Elijah Craig barrel proof EC 118010 hyphen Q or whatever. Like, cause I get people asking me shit like that. And I'm like, bro, I drink mellow corn. Fuck off. Like, there's nothing wrong with mellow corn. No, it's just like, I'm not following those trends like that. It's hilarious to me. I've had numerous different iterations of the Winkle family tree. I have not paid for a single one because it's a nice part of my industry that sometimes you're given these things, and so like those people are in every aspect of life, and they're always fun to deal with. But like my favorite part is my grandfather. He always had this phrase, "Kill him with kindness." And so when I was at High West, I was not allowed to talk to the tours. Is the official stance of High West. But occasionally I would. And my favorite was this one dude because I saw that he was kind of bullying one of our tour guides, and I was like, "That's my fucking job, not yours." And anyway, he was kind of trying to show off what he knew because he had been on other distillery tours, and like you mentioned, Jake, are that we all no one's really reinventing the wheel here, no matter what their marketing department likes to say. And so he was talking about all that he knows, and I'm walking him through this rye production cycle because that's what we're making that day. Because it was High West. Odds are they're making a rye if you're visiting them. And he just goes, "So when does it turn into a bourbon?" And I was like, "Huh." So you're going to spout off to me all these obscure bottles, your old Carter collection, and you're throwing out these codes, and you're not saying bottled and bond. You're saying BIB like this is some goddamn Reddit group or whatever. Like, and you don't know what a rye whiskey is versus what a bourbon is. We can go back to whiskey 101, and I'm talking like I'm hot shit. I've eaten so much humble pie. I've eaten so much, but it was just like, yeah, those folks. It's like if you give them enough rope, they'll hang themselves. Is my usual experience.
yeah.
No, well, Conor, one of the reasons why I decided right away we had to have you on, one, you're hilarious. I thought you'd be a great guest. Two, I don't usually buy bottles when I leave a distillery because I got enough. I don't have as many as Jake over here, and this just so you look at Jake's background.
Enough.
This is like 20% of Jake's whiskey collection behind him. Like he's got a downstairs bar, he's got this, and he's got a closet. But what was crazy was,
and
like,
he's got
Gold
Gold Eagle storage spaces.
Yeah, he's got a storage shelf for Jake's.
I was gonna say the guy with the drinking problem is the one who owns the liquor store, right?
I like we're all like I always said my range, like my favorite range is right around 110 proof. We're all closer to barrel proof than we are closer to low proof. When I tried your just straight bourbon whiskey at the 86 proof that comes out at, I was impressed by the amount of flavor that you get at 86 proof. I thought the bib was good, but I thought this was phenomenal for a low proof whiskey. And I'm not one that buys anything usually less than 100 proof anymore. And it was funny that a week after I visited you guys, we found out that Gary was going to be heading down to Tempe to do the trip. And I know, like I said, Jake said he brought stuff back, but I was very impressed with what you guys have been putting out for younger stuff, which again, age doesn't mean jack shit anymore. But I was really impressed to see a local craft distillery producing some really, really good spirit.
Well, thank you.
I don't know if these guys might shit all over it.
I was going to say, like, we've been going for an hour now and haven't talked about the actual whiskey that we're drinking yet. So before we go, we should do a little bit of a plug and talk about it. I definitely echoed Dan's sentiment. It's very tasty, very flavorful for a low proof point. Definitely doesn't look or like flavor content wise feel like it's an 80 something proof bourbon, which is, you know, like I think one of the highest compliments you can pay a distillery for their like flagship, you know, 80 something proof whiskey. So nice job with that. It's excellent.
Well, thank you. You know, with the 86 proof, it's tough because my favorite range for this bourbon mash bill when it's you know it's hit the good spot in the aging is like 110 to 118. That's kind of the sweet spot for me. Like Pikesville Rye, I deeply love, and that's always at 114. And I'm like, not quite barrel proof. Like I don't like my steak blue rare. Give me a little medium rare.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit of gentrification. Chill it out just a little bit. And so the 86 proof, it's hilarious. I will get people on the tours saying, "Oh my God, this is firewater," and I say, "When did you leave the church?" And then I get people drinking it 86 proof and they're like, "This is like water," and I'm like, "I get it," because like, dude, when I visit, because I love visiting the stores when I travel, and when I visit them and it's an MGP product that has been diluted down to 80 proof, I'm like, I'm good. I've been there. It's fine. No thank you. I'll try it, but I'm probably not going to buy a bottle, right? I will tell you guys this. Really hope this doesn't come back to bite me in the ass, but I'll be on vacation, so who gives a fuck? End of September, Dan, the owner of Outlaw will be here in town watching the store while I'm on vacation. I'm going back to Ireland with my dad, visiting some family, and we're going to hit the Guinness Storehouse because I get to do it with my dad. It's going to be a blast, you know. But we're also going to hit Tullamore Dew, Middleton, Dingle, and Craft Distillery in the town of Ballyduff. I'm blanking on the name of it, unfortunately, but he's a colleague of mine. Anyway, while the boss man is down here, he will be releasing a barrel-proof version of our bourbon. So,
nice.
Come by, I think it's like September 23rd, 25th, 27th, after September 20. Check our Instagram or give us a call, and we'll likely have the barrel proof in stock. And if we don't, it's my boss's fault because we talked about it this morning. He's like, "I'm gonna do a barrel proof when you're gone." And I'm like, "Cool, can I tell people?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "All right, cool." So, and that's, I don't know, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna be upwards of 130. So for you psychopaths, it'll be right up your alley.
Sounds fair. But no,
yeah, I think
obviously, you guys. Oh, go ahead, Jake.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, add on to that. Like, this is a super full bodied, and it tastes higher proof. It doesn't taste hotter, but it tastes higher proof in a good way because it is packed with flavor, and there's a lot of body and viscosity to it for an 86 proof bourbon. I know we're running very short on time, but I have one more technical question that we don't get to talk about or get answered because we don't have a lot of distillers on this. And very early in the episode, you mentioned something about the boiling point and how that was different in Utah, or where you are now versus where it was in California. And I think that's something that a lot of our listeners might think they know, including myself. Like, I think I might know, but I don't know exactly how that plays into effect on what you're doing with distilling. So how does the elevation affect the boiling point, if you can answer that in a quick couple-minute segment?
Absolutely. And I'm not hurting for time, just for the record. Don't have all night to share with you fine folks, but I'm not under the gun here.
Well, I mean, I guess we can keep going, but it's just over the average length for us, which is fine.
we don't give a shit. We're just more worried about your time considerations. So.
Mm-hmm.
I personally have never been called over the average length, so let's just get that out of the way.
Same.
The Irish aren't known for that, but no. So when we talk about, distilling is the separating of chemicals based off their boiling points, because at sea level, ethanol, the fun alcohol as I describe it, boils at 173 degrees Fahrenheit, and water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit. And I love talking to distillers in other countries because they say, "Why don't you use Celsius?" And I say, like most problems in America, blame Ronald Reagan. So, the being at elevation as we are here in Utah, because the distillery I trained at was at 400 feet above sea level, not really a noticeable difference. The ethanol came off at about 173. You would have weird variances from time to time, but we're talking like 1 to 2 degrees, and that could be: are there clouds overhead? Is it low pressure above you? You know, you never know. Those all can affect your readings. Like in the wine industry, we used to use an abeliometer for measuring the alcohol, and it was basically a micro distillation. In a sense, I'm probably butchering it, but I haven't had to use that in a long time now. I use hydrometers. That was at 400 feet. Currently, Salt Lake City, I want to say we're 4,400 feet above sea level. We're not a mile, but unlike Denver, the mountains are literally right there, and in Denver, they're about an hour away. And we may not have an NFL team, but fuck the Broncos. And the Rockies, by the way. As a Giants fan, what a hilariously shit franchise is the goddamn Rockies. I'm not going to mention the White Sox, but anyway. My girlfriend's a Cubs fan, so we'll just let that let that go.
Cubs fan, you can shit on the Sox. I don't care.
No.
Yeah, well, you know, it's just like. Well, so my products are never getting carried in Jake's store.
No, we don't discriminate. We'll put you on the bottom
just
shelf.
Just based on baseball teams, right?
Yeah, he'll give you shelf space.
Well, you're already treating us better than a certain state I won't name. What's funny about that, though, is during my tours, I tell people, because we use a Mormon sacrament tray as how we hand out the samples of the spirits, because it's a nice tongue-in-cheek reference to the elephant in the room here in Utah, right? And it's a good icebreaker because a lot of my tour guests are ex-Mos, or they just left the church, or they're still in the church, but they want to try alcohol. And I'm letting them know, hey, it does not matter your religion when you come in here. Everybody's welcome, except for assholes. And so that usually excludes Philadelphia Eagles fans and Kansas City Chiefs fans. So
we can all get behind
back
that.
To what you asked me about.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
We're all on the same page now.
Yeah. So getting back to what you asked me, being at 4,400 feet above sea level, we see a variance in the boiling points. And when I was at High West, you know, way up there at 7,000 feet, again, I hope it is 7,000. It was high. It was up there near Park City. I mean, we're seeing ethanol boiling off at 163, 164, 165 degrees Fahrenheit. So you're looking at kind of a 10-degree swing. And I've heard from some of my colleagues up here, when I'm pulling off parts at 164, they're like, that's a little low. Ours comes off at 166 or 167. And I go, I'm not saying you're wrong or that I'm wrong. It could be equipment that, you know, maybe our temp probes are reading weird or something else. I don't know. But regardless, we're below 173. And that's because there's less atmospheric pressure. Because when you're up this high, the air is a little thinner because there's less air pushing down on you, because people think air doesn't weigh anything. But if you don't know about that, my other passion is planes, and the SR-71, the famous stealth reconnaissance plane, wasn't stealth. It was just fast as fuck. Excuse me. Its windshield wasn't actually glass. It was quartz, because normal glass would literally melt. And so they had to have special quartz windows on the cockpit, because the air was so dense that when you're going Mach 3.5, allegedly, they definitely went faster, but they don't tell us that. It was melting. The friction was melting the windshield. So air does matter. It has density. It has mass. And so up here we have less. So our alcohol boils off sooner than it would if we were, you know, at Whiskey Acres, for example. I don't know what your elevation is, but I'm gonna guess you're not very high.
Yeah, we're not very high above sea level. Yeah, and you're basically right on. I checked Midvale's elevation was 4,300, and where the distillery at High West is 7,000 still.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, you know, I'm really 6'3.5". I say 6'4". We just round up, you know, a little bit. It's like on a dating profile. Who's it really gonna hurt?
Yeah. No, I really like the whiskey from High West, or from not High West. Jesus Christ, I don't like High West at all, really.
That's a Freudian slip.
Yeah.
No, we've talked about it. I'm not a High West fan. The only one
That's
I
like you saying, I'm really optimistic for the Lions season.
I like the Prisoner share, but it's way too overpriced.
Christ Almighty!
I thought Outlaw was phenomenal. Do you guys I know you guys don't have distribution in Illinois, and I know you guys people can buy on your website from outlawdistillery.com. Do you guys also sell on LibDib or anything? Because I'm trying to wonder if there's a way that Jay can get some. If there's enough people that requested that we can get some.
If it's on LibDib, we can order it.
I don't know if we are. I have found our spirits on the sketchiest websites on the internet. I would say that for personal consumption, just hit outlawdistillery.com to see if your state is on the nice list with our distributor. But as far as for you, Jake, I will give Dan my boss's email and see if there's something we can work out, because as we're growing, we're talking to distributors, and they're such fun conversations. How certain distributors, have access to these areas, and others have access to these areas. And California is a complete mess right now.
Certain distributors just say like hell with California.
So, Connor, what I would say to you,
it's
kind of something interesting for our listeners too, is LibDib seems to be a new platform where distilleries, no matter where you're located, can ship to liquor stores legally via UPS or FedEx.
Huh?
And get their products on the shelf at that store. We've even had the Liquor Commission call our store and ask about certain brands and how we're selling them. And we've had to explain to the Liquor Commission in Illinois that we've got it through LibDib, and then they've kind of shut up and backed away. So I think it's like a very brand new kind of loophole or system to get products on the shelf in different stores without fully committing to being with a distributor. Like, it's more like you package and ship it from your place to get it directly to us.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely look into that, because that does interest me. I do love that in Illinois, they're like, hey, how are you getting this? Whose palms did you not grease? Because we didn't hear about this.
Exactly.
Like one of my favorite movies of all time is The Blues Brothers, and the Honorable Daily Plaza, or I can't remember, but there's so many references to Illinois' interesting politicians.
Over half of our governors aren't in jail for no reason, So
well, there's Blagojevich, and then also like I love in the movie The Untouchables, which is hilariously inaccurate, and Sean Connery's Irish accent is just him and Gerard Butler. You would think, being that close to Ireland, they could make a believable accent. Both of them are so bad, so bad. But in The Untouchables, my favorite is at the end. Elliot Ness, Briss, oh God, I'm blanking on his name, but one of Al Capone's guys, his hitman, and he's like, he has a gun on him in court. And he pulls out this business card, and it's from the mayor of Chicago. And he's like, do not leave this man alone, pretty much. It was just like a little Chicago politics dog whistle there. I loved it first. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, we're used to it. I mean, that's one of the reasons I'm no longer in Illinois, has to deal along those lines.
It's okay. Utah has no corruption. We have perfect separation of church and state here. It's not like certain pornographic websites are blocked here. It's not like our liquor stores aren't open on Sundays because of a certain religion. There's definitely no cross-contamination here in Utah.
Not at all. Not at all. It's like when I talk to guys from Ireland and like on trips, and they're like, or like people from the U.S. are telling them all their problems about certain issues that they have, and they're like, well, the Catholic Church runs everything in Ireland, so we're fine. There's no issues with any of that here.
Well, it's funny. Every place has its headaches. Like I love certain friends of mine back in California are kind of getting into guns, and this is a great topic right now, but I own firearms, and so they were asking me for advice about it, and talking with them about it, and they're like, "Oh, the 10-day waiting period's so bad," and I was like, "That is not a thing in Utah." The pawn shop that the pawn shop that I bought my last 2 firearms from, he gave me a complimentary box of ammo as a courtesy for buying a firearm from him, and it took about an hour. Red State has its perks, but the downside is Utahns here. I don't want to say native Utahns because unless you're Native American, I don't really want to hear it. Because being a Californian, I'm the root of all evil, apparently. But when they complain about Utah's liquor laws to me, because I have no complaints, I guess. Like I was like, dude, I deal with this on the daily. You're preaching the choir. I just go, well, in free states like California, you can buy alcohol on Sundays and you can have brunch before 10:30. And they're like, what do you mean a free state? And I'm like, well, they treat you like an adult when it comes to alcohol. Other stuff is terrible. Don't get me wrong. Every state has its pros and cons, but I will give California that. Its liquor laws. I mean, that's a big reason why we branched out to Arizona. Arizona's liquor laws are amazing down there. I browsed a private liquor store and I was allowed to consume a cocktail while browsing said liquor store. Sorry, a beer while browsing said liquor store. And I was like, this feels so illegal to me after living in Utah for a number of years. I was just like, this is crazy, man.
Jake's got a bar in his liquor store with a couple hundred.
We have a bar in the store.
God love you.
You can 200 bottles,
I love
Dan.
that.
And you can
a
grab a
couple
pour
hundred.
and you
I
can
believe that's
you can walk around the store, drink your whiskey. We got beers on draft. You can grab a beer and go shop the shelves. That's the way it should be, right?
As you should. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I thought this was America.
Right? I'm buying booze. Why can't I drink it?
I feel like Dale.
I love that you can't buy cold beer at the liquor stores. You can only buy cold beer at the grocery store.
Yeah, they recently started refrigerating the beer in some Utah State liquor stores, and their reasoning that I heard, this might be hearsay, but what I was told was the reason they didn't refrigerate beer for the longest time is they didn't want people to be drinking it out of the store. And my response to that was, if you're going to drink straight out of the liquor store, the temperature really doesn't matter. You're just going to rip it. So that was kind of a bullshit argument. And a lot of local cider makers and beer brewers here in Utah for a while refused to list their products in the state liquor stores, which is anything above 5% alcohol. So according to the state of Utah, Negro Modelo, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, a nice red wine, and Everclear are the same thing because they're all above 5% alcohol. And so anything above 5%, 5.1 to 199, you got to go to the liquor store for. And it's just crazy. And the people didn't seem to understand that, hey, cider is very perishable. Beer is perishable if you don't refrigerate it. But the best way to sum up Utah is its drinking laws made by non-drinkers. And fortunately, we are moving in the right direction to change. But it's very slow.
Oh, Conor, anything else you want to tell us about Outlaw Distilling or yourself as we wrap up here?
Yeah, the secret is one beard hair in every bottle. No, that's a dumb, tired old joke. Yeah. It'll cure your syphilis or your dysentery, whichever one you got. Now, I think the last thing I'll say, just to tie things up, is now more than ever. I mean, look, take for example Jake's store. I love classic liquor stores like that. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of them out west. I've never been east of Denver, which blows my friends' minds when they're from the East Coast and the Midwest. But I don't count airports. Out west, we don't have crazy old liquor stores because when you guys had electricity, we were still fighting over land and literally shooting each other. So it's a little different out here. But those old independent liquor stores are cool, and there's something that we need to hold on to, especially because how foolish Prohibition was and what that did to our history as a country and the negative, consequences we've dealt with because of Prohibition. It makes, right now, your money matters more than ever. go to the small, not small, over 200 bottles. Go to the independent liquor stores more than the Bevmos and the Total Wines, and go to the craft distilleries more than the big guys. Now, I say that with love for my friends at Heaven Hill, Wild Turkey, Four Roses, etc. But when people in my community come to purchase alcohol from me, I tell them this every time. I promise to spend your money at a local bar. But it matters more to support local craft distilleries, I feel. Just like I would rather go to, we have this, actually, Dan, you need to try this. In Midvale, there's a great sub shop called Moochie's, their meatball sub. I will die on this hill. It is amazing. Get the fry sauce as well. I'd rather go there than Subway, is kind of my mindset. And so that's my soapbox. I'll get off it, but
I think that's
drive that home.
a great.
People think it doesn't matter.
No, it's a great closing argument. Not argument, just a good point to kind of end with, because like us three are always talking about small local distilleries. It's very important to support them. Yes, we have 200 bottles at our bar, and we're, from a square footage standpoint, a pretty big store, but we're very small in the grand scheme of things compared to like your Benny's and Total Wines and Bevmos.
Benny's is the big one
guys.
in Chicagoland, so
yeah, they're like our Total Wine or Bevmo
we don't have like
out
the
here.
Total Wines and stuff, yeah.
And we're actually not supposed to say their name on here, so that was probably the first time that they've been brought up on the podcast. But yeah, I mean, it makes a big
Jake's
difference.
Not supposed to say their name.
I'm not supposed to at all, but this was using them in a bad way, and I'm okay with that. But there's so many
if you bleep
phenomenal...
it out, just bleep out a little extra.
Yeah, we can bleep it out, right, Jake? You can do that. But there are so many small distilleries. No, I know. No, that was a joke. But there's so many small distilleries that are putting everything into it every single day versus just pressing a couple buttons on a computer to change something on the still. And it is more important than ever to support not only the small distilleries, but the smaller the brands and the liquor stores who are actually putting in the work to get behind and promote these brands properly.
Yeah, because if we lose this, then we're stuck with the V words, the Voldemort liquor stores, and these other ones that are kind of boring. And they do I enjoy going to a Total Wine. I do like a Total Wine from time to time. That being said, their store picks, their store brands, brutal. I don't want to get a defamation case, but they ain't for me, is what I'll say. And so, you guys are doing 70 barrel picks a year. You're not doing that if you're picking shitty barrels. People know to trust you guys, and so it's like when you just support the Walmarts and the Amazons, life gets boring, man.
Well, and also
your last barrel pick you released was. Your last barrel pick lasted like 3 or 4 days. You guys just released, didn't it?
The last one released in a day.
That's awesome.
24 hours. The Driftless Glen, which was a small distillery in Wisconsin.
Wisconsin distillery.
This barrel,
a good distillery.
This barrel was like a phenomenal barrel.
Dan
like I think.
It's okay.
Yeah, well, he didn't try the barrel, but this is a distillery that. Not everything I've tried I've loved, but this barrel was a long time in the making. Like, I've been trying forever because I've tried other picks from them that I thought blew my mind, and we finally found one that blew my mind. So people kind of hopped on it and trusted it. But that's, that's kind of, there we go right there. That's kind of trust and rapport that we build. And, to tie this back in, like, the big liquor stores will do 10 barrel picks from one distillery at a time. And I've heard that they've picked just based off of floors or based off of barrel codes or where it was located, what rickhouse it was located in, where your smaller stores are actually tasting every single barrel and getting behind the barrel, not only from a taste standpoint, from a sellability and a repeat customer standpoint as well.
Yeah, you're
So
really
basically,
suffering
we need
for
to
us
we need to get
going
some
on those
outlaw
vacations.
samples.
I have some
Basically,
friends who've done barrel pigs.
Yeah, Jake's trying to get outlaw samples and a legal way to get outlaw.
No, I mean it's a very fun job, but at the end of the day, like it's hard to say this, and a lot of people won't relate, but you can probably relate that it is a job at the end of the day. So when you are doing these really fun trips, and again, I'm like, I love what I do. Like I wouldn't want to do anything else. Like, I have talks in my family all the time about, is this really what we want to do? Like, we could all go do something else. And every time I'm like, no, like I wake up every day excited to go to work. And I don't feel like a lot of people share that same thing. And you can probably relate. I mean, you're doing something that's hands-on, something you're passionate about.
Yeah. It's fun, but the thing that I think some other people lose track of is that it's still a job. And there's an NBA player. I gotta remember what his goddamn name is, because I quote him all the time. But he's like, doing what you love for a living means doing it even when you don't want to do it. And it's like doing this. You get new hobbies. I never moonshine, but if I were to, I would not do it anymore because I get enough of it at work, enough experimentation, all that fun stuff. It's I agree with you that sometimes it is work. Like when I've had to set out 8 to 10 barrels and taste through them and see what I like. And I really like that you brought up that some people will just go, oh, well, if it's off this floor, it's going to be great. Or if it's this barrel coat, it's going to be great. This is where, because like I hate when people, and I'm sorry if you guys say this, I'm not trying to badmouth you to your face.
We're with you.
I don't like when people call distilling an art, because I don't view it as an art. I view it as a craft, something that you try to get better at. Barrels are the part where I consider it an art, because you can have 2 barrels sitting beside each other, and they are made with the same whiskey, barrels from the same cooperage, filled on the same day, aged for the same amount of time. When you harvest them, one is great and one is shit. And there's no rhyme or reason to it other than whatever the math was between this barrel, X plus Y equals Z, and this barrel, X plus Y equals Minnesota Vikings. Just utter dog shit. It's like, it's really tough there. So
and the math doesn't even math most of the time.
No,
it's
algebra.
We can't trace where this tree came from, and the 0.05 temperature variation, whatever. But it's based off of taste, and that's where the art comes in.
The only way to know is to taste
all
it.
Those
absolutely,
moving pieces.
Absolutely.
Like one of the first times that Jake brought samples from Knob Creek to do a barrel pick with us. Knob Creek sends out a nice tasting kit and everything, and back then this is when you had to proof it down to be at a certain proof, and they gave you the water and how many mils to add to the whiskey to get it down to proof that your bottle would be at. And we tried 3 samples, and then afterwards we did it blind, opened it up afterwards. The one we hated the most was the one from the Booker's Warehouse. Like, how many people would just pick that one because they saw it as Booker's Warehouse versus...
I have no comment on high-end Jim Beam. My love for Jim Beam, I deeply love the Jim Beam Black Label. I think that is one of the most underappreciated American. As far as the high-end stuff, I have no comment.
So, but no,
especially one that has the initials B and H. I have no comment on that one. I think that's still Jim Beam property. I don't know.
Is it?
I'm fairly certain they're Beam Suntory.
All right.
Oh,
I think you're right.
Let's just add it to all the other defamations I've said during this podcast.
Well, Jake's going to sue me because I said the name of his competitor, so it all happens.
Yep.
That's fine.
Connor, we want to thank you so much. If you're interested in Outlaw and trying their stuff, well, first of all, if you're ever flying out to Utah, maybe you're coming out to see me. You drive right by Outlaw Distillery from the airport down to...
I think people would drive right by you to go to Outlaw.
They can't drive by me unless you fly into Provo. You ain't driving by my house to Outlaw. No, if you fly in, it's way closer to go to Outlaw Distillery, and I will tell you that their whiskey is way better than driving all the way out to High West. So I would do that.
Thank you.
If you want to buy stuff right now, you can do it on the Outlaw Distillery website. I believe majority of our listeners are Illinois. I believe you'll probably be able to get it in Illinois. I can't say that for sure. Check on the website. If you're interested in trying and don't want to do it that way, bug Jake, and maybe we'll see if we can find a legal way to get some Outlaw in Illinois.
Hey, I'm ready. I'm gonna talk to Conor and see what they can do.
Yeah, Conor, stick around.
Yeah, we'll look into the lib dib option, see what we can do there, because that's that sounds like a great workaround.
Yeah, stick around afterwards.
We're called Outlaw. We're also not trying to get on the bad side of the TTB or the IRS or the ATF. Name your alphabet soup. I don't want to piss them off.
Yeah.
Don't worry. There's some big brands using LibDib. It's not like a backdoor black market loophole. It's legit. But
hey, they may be bigger than us,
that.
but do they have a 1968 forklift like the one Burt Reynolds drove in Smokey and the Bandit? Because I do. And it's got a manual transmission.
Oh, even
a forklift with a manual transmission, boys. You talk about farm ingenuity.
That makes inching so easy when you're trying to inch forward a couple. Oh, that sounds awesome.
Stacking barrels. Honestly, stacking barrels, I've learned how to ride the clutch. I don't know what the clutch is made of because I haven't broken it, and I don't know how because I went through 3 in my old Toyota Corolla back in the day. But I've yet to destroy this clutch. It's better than some of these hydrostatic, especially the electric forklifts. But if you get me and Dan going on forklifts, we will be here all night. So I won't. I'll stop there. I'll stop there.
All right, Jake. In the meantime, if people want to see what you have for sale, look at some of the barrel picks we talked about, or find any other products that you guys have, where can they do that at?
goldeaglewine.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Gold Eagle Wine. Follow us on Facebook at Gold Eagle Spirits. Whole inventory is available on our website or app of it, which is available on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. And yeah, hopefully we will be getting some Outlaw into the store. We will definitely talk about this LibDib option and see if it is a possibility for us. Especially now that we have a few listeners into Outlaw Spirits. So thank you, Conor, for your time and hopping on the podcast. Throwing it back to you guys at Bourbon Matters.
Jake, where can people listen to this episode or some of the other interviews we've done or anything else?
Yeah, you can listen on Apple, Google, Spotify, any other podcast platform. Watch us on Spotify and YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Thanks again, Conor. This was really, really fun.
It's my pleasure, guys. I was honored to hang out and chat. Really fun talk, which is cool. And obviously, hope the Niners win the NFC West, and I hope the Bears win the NFC North.
That's not good.
There we go.
All right, kind of stick around for just a few minutes. But otherwise, we're going to sign off, guys. Cheers.
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 Cheers.